What is it that you want to take from this past year, to take into this year with you? You are not a blank slate. You get to bring in something with you. And I kind of like that perspective of bringing something with us.
Welcome to the Baby Sleep Connection, a podcast that explores baby sleep and more through the lens of attachment and development. I'm your host, Heather Boyd. I'm a mom of 3, an occupational therapist, and a certified infant and family sleep specialist. If you are a tired parent who wants to support your baby sleep holistically, keep listening as we delve into approaches that go well beyond the usual strategies of wake windows and bedtime routines. Your baby's sleep is connected with so much more. Before we jump into today's episode, I wanted to share with you a new theme happening at the Baby Sleep Connection podcast. About once a month, we are running an Ask and Answer episode. What this means is I get a chance to answer your questions about baby sleep or sleep challenges that you're having. If you want to submit a question, go to familysleep.ca/podcast and look for the Ask and Answer button. I look forward to answering your question soon. Hi, and welcome back to the Baby Sleep Connection, and welcome to 2026. This is the first episode of the year. I'm actually recording it the day before I jump back into work. I thought I would record a couple of these podcasts before launching into my Monday. I hope that whatever you did and however you spent the last little bit of holiday, that you found some rest, some relaxation, and lots of connection. I know for many of you with little ones who celebrate Christmas, it can be a magical but stressful time. So I do hope that you were able to find some ways to enjoy the magic yourself as well, and enjoy the process of being the one that is the share of magic for your kids. I know for me, when my kids were really young, it was quite a weird thing for me to switch into magic making instead of magic receiving. It felt like a big responsibility, but quite an honor to take that on. I feel like it was the natural handing over of the torch from my parents when I think of my upbringing over Christmas in childhood, and now it's my turn. My kids are getting big though, so the magic feels a little bit different. The focus is a lot more on connection and a lot less on toys. I know it can get a little hairy really fast in the toy department over the holidays. So at any rate, I wanted to do a special edition of the Baby Sleep Connection podcast in honor of the turning over of the calendar, in honor of equinox that we, of course, had before Christmas, and look at kind of a reboot of doing New Year's resolutions. Now, I happen to think that we give New Year's resolutions a bit too much flack these days, but there's good reason to reevaluate what it is that we're really trying to do when we set out these lofty goals at the beginning of the year. I know for me, with 2 weeks, or really, let's just say 2 months, of kind of indulging in lots and lots of sweets and foods that I know do not go well with my digestive tract and do not serve my body. I am coming into New Year with that common feeling of wanting to press the reset button on my own health and healthy eating. But let's work beyond these typical New Year's resolutions, and especially for those of you with young ones for whom, when the attention goes on to trying to achieve things and trying to do things and trying to go on grand adventures, and you think, I'm not getting very much sleep. I can't even think straight, let alone be able to leave the house for an evening, forget a big adventure that maybe you would have been taking before you had kids. So it can feel like a bit of a reset as well with expectations around the new year. If you were on my email list, you have a sneak peek of what it is that I'm going to suggest in terms of this fresh look at the turning of the calendar and what that might mean for resolutions. If you're not on my email list, what I suggest you do is you go to familysleep.ca and sign up for my emails. I send one out about once a week. And this last one that I sent on New Year's Eve had the 5 questions that I think we could ask ourselves on the eve of a new year or the eve of any transition that really puts a bit of a twist and new perspective or new focus, instead of it being about doing and having. So the first question that I want you to consider asking yourself in this new year is,
what about this past year am I proud of or feel happy or joyful about when I think about it? Now, this question is important to me because the new year or a new season is a chance to really reflect on what that season brought for me. And it allows me to pause and really give myself a chance to pat myself on the back for a job well done. Now, with little kids, you may feel I've done nothing other than laundry and burping and feeding and changing diapers. But if you were able to get through this past year with some sense of your ability to manage difficult situations, or with your ability to navigate your new role in parenthood or new role as a parent of two, if you welcomed a new little one to your household this season. I think what's valuable to me in asking, what about this past year am I proud of? Instead of focusing on what we do not have, we're focusing on what we bring. So give yourself some time to really dig into this question. You can hopefully jot this down or get on my email list or email me and tell me you want a copy in writing. The second question I think is worthwhile asking ourselves is, what do I want to take with me from this past year? We so often are looking at the new year as being fresh and shiny and new. I know that for me, that means loving my new day planner and taking out a nice Sharpie and starting to fill in all the appointments and to-do lists that I have, and the crisp paper and the sharp spine always is something that just makes me happy. But instead of only thinking about this being a fresh start, it's not a blank slate. You get to bring things with you. You get to leave behind in 2026 that which did not serve you. But what is it that did serve you this year? What is something that you now have in terms of a new skill or new perspective or new ability, or something that you have in the world, a new relationship, a new role in motherhood or parenthood? So what is it that you want to take from this past year, to take into this year with you? You are not a blank slate. You get to bring in something with you. And I kind of like that perspective of bringing something with us.
Whether this is your first time listening to the Baby Sleep Connection podcast or you've listened to every episode, I want you to know about the podcast listener guide that I've developed. In it, I have my 6 most popular episodes of the Baby Sleep Connection podcast, my list of favorite parenting books about sleep and development, and a few additional free resources if you're looking for more support. To get it, go to familysleep.ca/podcast. And now back to the episode.
The third question that I think is worthwhile asking is, who do I want to be this coming year? So this is the fresh start thing. We're always changing and evolving and gaining and learning and failing and getting up and trying again and finding ways around the challenges that life throws at us. When we think about all the things that go into that, yes, we're bringing our past selves in, but we also have a chance for personal growth. And I think reflecting first on what you value and what you're proud of, and second, what you get to keep along with you, this third question is really about stepping into something new for you and asking it in a way that reflects on what I want to be, like who is it that I want to be, allows me to take the things that are really important to me, that maybe I feel like there's some room for improvement. I know in my house, I've become a little bit of the nagging parent with my teenagers. And although I could justify a lot of valid reasons to be nagging my teenagers, I know it also doesn't work. And it doesn't work to strengthen our relationship. It doesn't work to get them motivated to do whatever it is I'm nagging them about. And so when I think of who I want to be, I want to be someone that is going back to the roots that seemed for me to come easily in the first 5 years of parenthood. Of course, it looks very different for me right now with teenagers, but if I can think about how that patience and connection and that focus on the relationship is important to me, I want to be a parent who is calm, reflective, and really in tune to the stage my kids are in right now. And that means a little bit of learning for me, because of course, no matter what stage of parenthood that we're in, we are new at it. We don't have any manual about what we're supposed to be doing. When I was a younger parent, all of the work that I did professionally fed right into what I knew about parenthood. So it was kind of handy. Felt like I was coming in fully educated in parenthood. But this teenage thing is new territory for me. And so I want to be the parent who is in tune with those needs and adaptable to this new stage. And of course, you don't need teenagers in your house to feel like you want to be adaptable to the stage that your baby is in. They are growing and changing all the time. I always remind parents that we are going to be behind the eight ball in terms of adapting to our kids because their development and their emerging temperament and who they are and them revealing to us who they are, they're always going to be one step ahead of us. We're the ones reflecting on and observing and adapting to, not the other way around. And so I like that. Who do I want to be? Maybe you like that question too. And I would love to hear how you've pondered that question if that's hitting a chord for you. So, question number 4, what do I want from my environment that will help me thrive and feel good? And part B to that is, and then now, how do I create that? So, what do I want from my environment that will help me thrive and feel good? And this is looking at if I want to bring something in of myself from last year, if I want to step into being the person, the parent, the human being that I want to be, what is it that I need externally? Because, of course, all the personal growth in the world will do nothing if the environment cannot, at least in some way, support you. And the environment could be physical. I know for me, one of my priorities lately has been decluttering my home and creating something a little warmer at home so that the rooms that I walk into at home feel lovely and beautiful and simple and tidy and clutter-free. That, of course, as I imagine you can relate, is an ongoing ongoing project. But I'm looking at our very gray house, very modern house, and thinking I want to bring some warmth into this. My environment, if I can create that warmth, is going to support me tenfold because the environment that we're in impacts our emotions. It impacts how we're feeling about our life. It impacts our ability to do the things that we need to do. For any of you who are prone to rearranging furniture or redesigning a closet, and I don't mean like renovating a closet, I mean like reconfiguring the stuff you already have in there to make it work better for you, or moving couches to the other side of the room to create a space that is more conducive to feeling good in your space, you probably can relate to this. But environment, of course, is not just physical, it's our relationships too. And I'm not saying that you need to have as your mission getting new friends, but to take stock perhaps of what are the friends that are there for you or your partner or spouse. What role do they play in supporting you? And are there areas where you need more support and need to speak up about your needs and what it is that will help you thrive? I think communication is so valuable, and it feels to me on a global scale like communication is breaking down in so many ways that if we pause even in our own little microcosm, our own little family unit or neighborhood or community, to look at what is it in that environment that helps me thrive and feel good. And if it's not there, how do I create it? There is an influencer online, and I cannot remember her name at this point, but she is a mom of a few very young children. And one of the things that she started with on her channel a while back when she first popped into my algorithm is she was talking a lot about how to make friends as a mom of very young children. And she talked about how we can feel very lonely and very isolated, especially when we have a new role. If you have friends that are not mothers yet and you're trying to navigate this new role, plus a loss of a lot of the things that you may have had in common because you're at a different season, a different stage of life with having a baby. And it can be really isolating. I will figure out what her name is so I can add it to the show notes. She talks a lot about the steps to create your own village. And I loved how clear she was about the idea that if you want it, like build it. And it doesn't mean all the burden is on you, but life is not a conveyor belt that I'm imagining those sushi restaurants. I've never been to one, but if you've ever seen those images of those sushi restaurants where there's a trough of water instead of a bar. And so the trough of water has a current that goes around. So the flow of water is carrying these little boats, these little floating platters of sushi. And if you want it, you take it off this floating river and it's on your table to enjoy. Life is not like that when it comes to making friends. Well, sometimes it is, but sometimes we've got to go out and do it and just take that step forward to make the connections. I know that the irony is that at this stage in parenting, that's probably the thing that you feel like you have the least energy for, the least inclination for. You might have a lot of anxiety about doing it because you won't feel like you've had to make friends or create a village for ages because you had one. If you've moved a lot, you know, the process can be really painful to rebuild that every time that you move. But I think taking the reins to say, what is it that I want from this environment in terms of what do I want from my relationships? What relationships are out there waiting for me that will make life all that more rich and make your life more, the goals that you have for your life more attainable. So that's my thought about that. Now, question number 5, the very last question. Who in my life is important? So this is who's already in your life. Who is already in your village? Who's important to you? And have you told them lately? And I think so often, again, we can go back to communication and the concerns I have of just how poorly we value clear communication. And one of those things for me is clearly communicating gratitude and thanks and appreciation for the relationships that are already here. I suppose in some way you are bringing forward those relationships into a new year. I think it's really worthwhile putting in the effort to give thanks to those who are already in your life. And it's not to say that anyone in your life is perfect, but everyone that I feel near and dear to and I love, there's a reason. There's a reason for it. And if I have not paused to reflect on what those reasons are, then I'm missing a chance to really articulate to them what they mean to me. And that to me is worth the time and effort to do that. So I will draw this episode to a close, but will encourage you again, if you like those 5 questions, if they resonate with you, drop me a quick email, heather@heatherboyd.ca. I will forward you the email, but I also encourage you to get on my email list because these are the kinds of emails that come out. So often they have something to do with sleep, but sometimes they're these nice little opportunities based on the season to look at things a little bit differently in ways that, of course, go way beyond baby sleep. But we're all humans navigating a human lifespan and going through various seasons of parenthood and life in general. And I think these little tidbits of opportunity to reflect on something new, either with a new year or a new season or just a new shift in what life looks like for you, it's a valuable way to spend our time and give some reflection. So I would love to hear from you if this does resonate with you and let me know what your answers to those questions are. I'd love to hear. Until next time, I hope that you're getting ample sleep, uninterrupted sleep. And if you're not, you can always reach out to me. That's what I do. Support families in getting easier and better quality sleep. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining me on this episode. I do hope that you found the information and perspectives in this podcast episode helpful to you as you navigate your baby's sleep development. Of course, this podcast provides general information and it isn't tailored to your family's reality or the specific needs of your baby. If you're concerned about your baby's sleep or health, be sure to reach out to your healthcare provider. If you're feeling exhausted and overwhelmed and you need a place to feel nurtured and reassured, you can find me on Instagram at familysleep.ca. Until next episode, look for the connections that support you and your baby.